I got you, people. So let's talk about this SpaceX, right? Because me and my brother, we be debating, but not into an argument and things like that. We just like to have conversations and things like that, right? So I was reading with SpaceX, right? Because my brother was blowing up my phone, letting me know, that I want to get into, but I wasn't enthusiastic about that stock, right? Like I say, or I wasn't motivated to get into that stock. I got other stocks, but I wasn't into that SpaceX stock that just came into the NASDAQ, Robinhood, and all these other platforms, right? Because my brother trades a lot. He trades a lot, so he got used to it. Me, I tried it once and I lost half of my stocks before because I betted my stocks instead of money. So I betted half of my stocks and I lost, right? Because I put in a call and I didn't. Somebody's calling me, man. Wait a minute. So, like I was saying, people, right? That I betted a call with my stocks and now with cash, and I lost half of my stocks because the call that I put didn't execute, right? Didn't go up, so I bet it to go up instead of going up. It went down. In a few days, it was already down, and it didn't go up for the call, so I lost half of my stock. So I never did it again. But it was a good experience. But I don't trade my stocks oftenly like that. So I'd rather keep my stocks. So I had my stocks since the pandemic when I didn't have nothing to do. I started buying into stock, and the thing is that my brother was the one, also my son. They were into this, but I didn't know about it. But I was so bored, I didn't know what to do. And I started buying stock, but I didn't know my brother and my sons went to it. So that's how I got in. I got in first buying penny stocks. I was learning how to trade them, how to buy them. And then I got rid of them all. And I started buying stocks that were good profit, right? That would either pay me dividends or I was getting some gains. And I kept my stock all through the pandemic to now. The only stocks that I sold because they were making money, and I knew once they make that money, it was gonna crash or probably stay there. It was AMC, right? The theater entertainment, and Dogecoin because it was getting popular. A lot of people was promoting it, so I got in. And that at first, when it went all the way up, when it ran up, I didn't take my money out, man. I lost 3K, but I kept it again when it went up the second time. I cashed out and I got 3K at least. I put 1K and I got 3K. I would have had 6K, but thinking that it was gonna surpass 46, right? I figured it's gonna go to 50, things like that, but it didn't. So I lost half that money, and I took whatever was left and I reinvested in stocks that will pay me dividends. And that's how I do. I keep my stocks that are gonna pay dividends, are gonna get me gain. I don't get into these stocks that promise you things that don't give you anything. At least a company that's willing to pay its investors for buying that stock should pay some dividends. That's what I don't understand. But you gotta understand, right, that business people understand business, but regular people that are into the stock market and it just got these platforms so you to make extra money, we don't understand it. So we go out, we put all our money. When we lose, we blame the system and things like this. It's not like that. So that's why I didn't want to get to SpaceX, because I think it was, this is my opinion, it was like to raise money easily from people that don't know how to invest, right? So Elon Musk put his company in the NASDAQ and some platform like E-Trade is, what's the other one? Icon and Robinhood. And I didn't get into it, right? I would look into it, and his price was $135 for one stock. For each stock you buy is $135, right? And a lot of people was coming, analysts, that Elon Musk says that's his price, $135, and he's not gonna go no lower, no higher. He's gonna keep it like that. But remember, regular people that from 9 to 5 can't afford $135 for a stock, you know, things like that. So I think it was too high, but you know, it's not up to me. That's my opinion. And another thing is that other analysts were saying that stock wasn't worth a lot. Whatever idea and analysts they did, whatever check they did, that they figured that the stock was not worth 135, that it was worth $63. I had no idea how they got $63 from 135. Elon Musk wants 135, and the analysts say they want 63. You know, a share of a stock. And I think, to me, it's too high because the average person can't afford $135 a stock, right? I figure to make it more easier for people to get in, the average person, a $5 stocks. I think everybody would have got in and bought, you know, SpaceX, and I think they would have made more because he only went up to, I think, 177, and he went back down to 167. So it tells you that the stock, well, the hype didn't do anything. It didn't really go up. I figured that it was going to pass the 100 mark, 200, right? It didn't even get to 200. It went up to 177, and from there it dropped to 167. So either the analysts were right, or, you know, got too greedy at 135. But I'm thinking a man, the most richest man in the world, should have given dividends to investors, right? An investor that can afford, could afford, and invest in his company should be given dividends for buying his stock. But he didn't put no dividend. That's why I find it strange. And I think it's, I'm gonna call it unfair, but that's not a word to use. Right? Unfair is for babies, but you don't understand. No such thing as unfair. You know, realistically, that's the price. That's the price. You cannot say it's unfair just because you can't afford it, because other people could afford it. But you know, I don't know what's going on through the people's mind. I don't know if that was a fair price or 63 was a fair price. I don't even think 63 was the fair market price for SpaceX share. I don't care how billions he got, because he got billions. You know, he should have put that he would pay anybody that buys the shares, you know, quarterly dividend. But no, you look at his profile, there's no such thing as dividend or anything. You know, there's nothing given to the investor that's really putting the money. Even if the stock would have went up 200, 500, the only people that would have made money are the people that really have the money to invest and buy thousands of shares or maybe millions of shares. The average person to 5 cannot do that. Not even at 63. Now, if the share was at $5, maybe $2, you know that everybody in the platform that it was promoted, people would probably get in, invested, and take a chance. Just remember, if the stock will be $2 and it would have went up to 177 like it did, people would have made profit. And another thing is that, and one of the write-ups that I read, it wasn't no flip. They call it flip and invest or flip and turn, something like that. I just don't remember because I got short memory. But it was something no flip and flop, whatever it called. But you couldn't just flip the stock as soon as you buy, and then you couldn't flip it again to make a profit. You gotta wait a 30 days period before you sell it. That means in the 30 days, and the stock market goes back down, you know, you lose out. But I figured from $2, if he had the stock and he went up to 177, people wouldn't lose out, right? They still would have made some profit, because it goes back down to 167. People would still have profit, and they probably would still buy into the stock market, right? And on SpaceX. But what I see, that it didn't make a change, it didn't make a dent. People didn't buy like they were supposed to, like the hype was out there. It didn't work out for Elon Musk. I don't even think he cares that if he came up with that raise of $72 billion that he wanted to raise. He has that money. I don't understand why he's putting his company in the stock market, right? And the stock exchange to raise money. I don't know what he's gonna do with all that money. He's got all the money in the world, and if he thinks that he's giving a chance to people to invest, no. You know, at 135, you know, that's a lot of money for regular people for 9 to 5. You know, if Elon Musk was more generous, he would have put the stock at $2, man. No, he's like, man, you crazy, $2. Yeah, but I'm sure with $2, man, you know how much people would have bought? So you know how much stocks I would have bought? I probably would have bought 1,000 shares of stocks in the market. And if it went up to 177, I'd be gratefully happy and probably would have bought some more. But no, it didn't work out like that. I know some people say, man, I don't know what I did. They know they're probably having some regrets because they didn't do good. I figure in a few seconds, the stock market of SpaceX would reach at least 300 to 500 for that particular day. And now people gotta wait to see if anything's gonna happen with the stock. Is it gonna go up? Is it gonna go down? Is it gonna even go lower than 135? You know, so this thing is a really sketchy thing to do. So you gotta make sure you know what you're doing, and the money you put in, that you could lose it with no regrets and like that. You can't blame nobody. You know, you did it at your own will. You know, I guess the information was out there that if you put this money in, is 100%, then you can lose it. 100% that you might get your money back. The thing is, right? There's no, like I said, no flip flop. No, you can't buy and sell the next day as soon as the stock goes up. You know, you got a waiting period of 30 days. So that's what I'm saying. And you, like I said, everybody's want to be an analyst. They want to be a predictor. And everybody got to take all this information and make a decision. That's why you got to make a decision on your own, because, you don't know who's right, who's wrong. You can't predict the market. I don't care how good you are, what it is. This goes on unexpected, right? You can't determine what's going to happen with the news or no news. Sometimes it goes up with good news. Sometimes it goes down with good news. Sometimes it goes even down with good news. Sometimes it goes up with bad news. You don't know what happens. It depends on the people that invest. If you invest and you don't care about it, you just keep on putting money and you bring the stock up, that's all it is. So the value goes up on the stock. But it's people not investing and they're selling. They didn't wait. They didn't give it a chance. The stock price is gonna drop, and maybe some people are gonna pick it from there and start buying. You don't know. It's up and downs with this. You cannot determine the stock market just because you can't determine the future. But you could do is make a better decision of where to put your money at. So that's all I gotta say, people. What you think? You think the stock SpaceX price 135 was a fair price, or you think that Elon Musk got too greedy and put it at 135 just to raise $72 billion, which I don't think he could make it in the stock market because people ain't got that kind of money. So, my opinion was, if he would have put it at $2, the lowest it can go, this man doesn't need no money. He could have gave people opportunity to buy low the stock. Probably he would have raised this money within that second, within that 24 hours or 6 hours, right? From 9 to 6, 9 to 5, them 8 hours, he would have hit his goal of $72 billion. I think he could have done it if the price was low. But at 135, regular people, investors, from 9 to 5, cannot dish out $135 a stock. Well, anyway, people, I would like to know your opinion. With that, I'll let you go when you think about that.